Levi here, welcome to the channel. This video is a special video where we're taking everything from the Comprehensive Fascial Stretch playlist and we're wrapping it into what it could look like for you. But this one specifically is what it looks like for me as I narrate my thoughts as I'm walking through it. So I'm not going to be covering every stretch that you might need to do. I'm going to be covering every stretch I might need to do. So you can see what this really looks like and the dialogue that is going on within me as I do it, as a way to hopefully help you out to connect with it more for yourself. So the first thing I'm going to get into is my psoas. So let's check it out, see what it feels like today. Now what I know about myself is as I teach psoas, I tend to teach it standing, but I can access it better if I'm into a deeper stretch position. And it's a little tight. Breathe in. That one's good to go. I'll flip around so you can see me this way, into my other side. And that one doesn't need stretch. I'm not really feeling it much. So I'm going to go ahead and save time and skip past it. Let's get into my quads. Now the psoas stretch in the quads is something I suggest to do every time you approach stretching. It's not surprising that my right quad is a little tighter because my right psoas was a little tighter. And they're very fascially connected. But not much tighter. So that's about all I'm going to do there. Alright, the next one I'm going to check into is my adductor-abductor complex. I'm going to look down at my knees. Are they pulling in? Not really. They're pulling out? Not really. I don't need it. I'm going to move on. Now I'm going to look at my internal and external hip rotators. I might have a little bit of external rotation. Generally, it's small enough that I wouldn't need to address it. But let's go ahead and give it just a little bit of love. So going down, feet wide, knees together, top my hips. All right. The next bit I'm checking out is the alignment from my knee to my second toe. They're looking pretty good. If anything, my toes might be a little in from my knees. Let me grab the chair. Again, when you're doing this on your own, if you feel like you haven't micromanaged to realize it might be a little off, you probably don't need the stretch. But if my toes are a little in from my knees, then what I want to do, feet together, breathe in, squeeze my toes, breathe out, separate. I'm going to do it just for my left foot because it's the only side I'm really feeling it on my hamstrings. Okay, moving on to my calves. Now I teach calf stretch against the wall. I like to get down on the floor personally. A little tight. So toes together, big toes up. Now you probably notice I'm not doing a ton of reps, which is perfect because I'm trying to be quick about it. If I find any tightness, I will give it some more time, but I'm not really finding anything that's standing out a lot. my arches. If anything, maybe my left arch is a bit fallen. So let's do the left one. Ooh, nice adjustment already. Lifting that arch up. All right, working up the body from the hips now. Gonna check my QL. Again, not noticing a lot, but I am going to try to get a little more lift on my left. So I'm going to cross my left over, and then my right. And since it was only a little bit, I'm only going to do the one application. I'm not going to give it much time because it's an area that if you overdo it, you might feel a little tweaked there. And then next, we're getting into lats. And since I don't have a mirror in front of me to look and do the visual assessment, I'm just going to do a movement assessment where I get on the ground and I quickly check between my lats and they both feel fine, so I'm not going to linger there. Next is my pecs. My assumption is that most people's pecs could always use a little bit of love. So the assessment piece for this, I'm going to do a movement assessment as well. There's a little tension, so I'm going to breathe into it a few times. Just feeling a little guarded, so I'm easing up out of it a bit. And switch sides. That one actually fits fine. And then subscapularis, the assessment is moving out. I tend to stay pretty tight. Wow, that's a lot of movement for the first one. I love the stretch because it's instantly visually rewarding. Now I'm starting to feel the opposing muscle back here. Kind of squeeze. Can give it a few rolls. Nice. And do the other side. You notice I'm shrugging my shoulder up and back because I'm noticing the position of my shoulder wants to change as it opens. I'm just helping it. This one is a little more limited. I'm going to do a couple more breaths, but it's also feeling like it probably doesn't want a whole lot more. So what that tells me is next time I approach this, I'm going to give this side a little more attention. Okay. Biceps, triceps. Mine seem fine, so I'm not going to get into them. New supinator. My assessment looks great, so I'm not going to spend time there. Forearm flexors. Actually, this is one of those unusual times where it doesn't look like it needs it much, but in most cases, I suggest everyone take a little time for these. So I'm going to give it just a little bit. And no excessive tension stands out in any of those fingers, so they don't need any more tension. And then my sternocleidomastoid. Again, I don't have a mirror to look at. Normally I would look at if one side is centered or if my chin is jutted forward. There's nothing that's particularly standing out, but because of allergy season and dealing with some congestion, I'm going to just give it a little bit of a check. range of motion is pretty good, but I do feel a little bit of tension, so I'm gonna work it. That side feels fine. That's it. I didn't really check any of the special consideration areas, like my big toes, because I didn't feel like I needed it. My diaphragm tends to be pretty good, so I don't need it. That's me doing a pretty thorough work through my whole body. When I do this on my own, it tends to even be quicker than this, because I'm kind of flying through it. And if I notice that it doesn't feel like I need the stretch, I don't linger at all. I just move right past it. But I will check it just to make sure to see if it needs to or not. So hopefully this has been helpful for you and insightful. Feel free to try this out. Feel free to follow along. Granted, you might need some different stretches than what I need for my body. And also, if you feel so inspired, record yourself doing this. Send it in or tag us in your video. Because something that we are going to start doing soon is if you tag us in your video, we're going to take that as permission that you don't mind us looking at it, accessing it, and maybe giving some feedback. So if that's something you're interested in, tag us in your video. Who knows? You might find us giving you a little feedback about it. So if this is the kind of content that you like, subscribe, share, leave your comments. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love your thoughts. And thank you for joining us in this playlist.